Alrighty, so these fights have already been recorded and done. I was doing them in the middle of the break between after Du Plessis had beaten Robert Whitaker, and I was saying with Marshall beforehand, I was saying this individual right here, if there's any chance that he has, he's a physical middleweight, has a lot of what I call fuck you power, and he makes things work that aren't necessarily supposed to work. He crosses his feet a lot. Technically, a lot of the things he does aren't textbook. Whereas if you look at somebody like Robert Whitaker with the karate base that he has, the way he throws a lot of his strikes, the way that a lot of the things he does is textbook correct 90% of the time. And Du Plessis makes things work by he weaponizes the physicality behind the actions that he does. He has good shot selection for the most part. But another thing that makes him a little bit different with how wild his style is that he continues to throw when you don't expect him to continue to throw. A lot of times in fights, there's a period where like fighters are looking to reset in between, and Du Plessis is somebody, he will ignore that and he will make the fighter uncomfortable, constantly striking when he's not expecting to, almost like he disregards what you're throwing at him. Now the first 4 minutes of that bout, Robert Whitaker was looking like it was going to be another clean decision for Robert Whitaker in those first 3 minutes or so. Then, as if on cue, right, I'd made the joke that like Du Plessis wins fights that like almost accidentally, but not really. Of course, it's an action. It's a joke. But the move that he used, right, to take down Robert Whitaker, not a high percentage takedown. Like not a high percentage takedown, especially in MMA for in the men's division. Like not a high percentage takedown at all. Usually that results in the person getting their back taken. And that did not happen. When he went for that, I looked at that like, are you serious? Is Robert really about to get taken down by this? He's not gonna pop out his head. And no, he didn't. And he ended up in bottom side control. Du Plessis very intelligently. I think he attacked with a Darce, forced Rob to try and defend that. I thought, oh man, he might actually submit this guy. And no, and ends up throwing a fuck ton of elbows, and then that damage at the end of that round, that swung the round in his favor. Even though Robert did a lot of clean work for those 4 minutes, I was like, yeah, it's highly unlikely they're gonna still give that round to Robert, because the damage that Du Plessis had done, especially him becoming closer to quote unquote finishing the fight in that position, he won that round. Then the second round, it seems like Du Plessis starts out real slow, the cardio stuff and everything else. But a lot of the shots that Robert Whitaker, although he was landing a lot of quality, they weren't having the same impact of when Du Plessis landed on Robert Whitaker. As in, even though Du Plessis wasn't connecting as much at all, like Robert was pretty much in and out of the way, when he did land, there was a visible difference in impact. And that's when I think it was about a minute, and I was like, oh, Rob needs to. It's not about keeping your hands up. It's not about that. But he had to do something to dissuade him. I thought he was gonna follow up with more leg kicks. If anything, I was thinking like maybe he shouldn't try to grapple him. Marshall was calling like he should probably try to take him down. And I'm like, I don't know. At the end of that second round, if he shoots a bad takedown because he forces it, and it ends up on bottom, he's probably gonna get submitted. And it was like a power jab from Dricus Du Plessis, stuns Robert Whitaker, and he catches Robert mid-step. Like that's really important. You catch somebody when they're not in their athletic base, your shots are going to do a lot more damage, and it led to the sequence. So somebody like Robert Whitaker, he's had this championship level experience. He's had really great fights, but he's also had like moments where he's gotten wobbled. And I remember like the Yoel fight, I thought he was about to get finished, and he was able to hold on to a leg to recover. Wasn't able to do that against Dricus Du Plessis, and ended up getting finished. And it was a clean finish. It's a clean finish. There's no controversy around it. Like that is a clean, legitimate finish. It wasn't early. None of that stuff. He beat Robert Whitaker, even when it looked like that he wasn't going to. Like it literally happened. And I remember I went for the choke because I went for this choke against this Adesanya because I remember like the places had gone. It's not the same choke, obviously it's an arm triangle, But I was like, yeah, man, he attacks and chokes too. And he's due for a buff. Like he's now beaten somebody that whose only few losses were to the champion. And he's beaten that dude, and he finished him in the second round. That's it. You can't argue with that. But yeah, I look at Du Plessis as somebody like he breaks a lot of rules, and he's still managing to get the job done. I think still against Adesanya, a lot of the issues presented themselves against Robert Whittaker, and we went against Robert here that I think Adesanya will capitalize on. And there actually were some shots. I think it was mainly the up jab from Robert that definitely got a reaction from DDP here. And that's where I was like, all right, this is a nice game plan to work. But it's just really, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun bout. I think it's better for the division that Dricus won. I don't think anybody really wanted to see Robert Whittaker versus Adesanya for a third time unless he like beat somebody like Alex Pereira. Because it seems that Adesanya kind of has his number. Even though the second bout was a good bout, but I was clear at minimum 3 rounds for Adesanya. So yeah, that's just kind of the situation we had. And I had a parlay. I posted on my community wall. I posted like I posted the most likely outcomes. And for some of them, people said, Volkanovski finishing Yair by KO TKO. I had that one right. And with Dricus Du Plessis against Robert Whittaker, I knew like his best option was going to be by knocking him out. I didn't think he was going to win it. If the fight went to a decision, it was very unlikely that he would be on the winning end of that unless he was stunning Robert at the end of each round to steal it. That's where I would see that it was possible, but it was more unlikely. But knocking him out or winning by TKO, I saw, yeah, it's a plausible outcome. And I posted on my community wall. And then there was one of my parlays, bro. I would tell y'all something. This motherfucker had me tight. Y'all can ask Marshall, bro. This motherfucker had me tight. Cause I got a little something from another parlay. But in this one, bro, I'm about to give you a nice chunk of change. And this motherfucker, after Dan Hooker won by points, I called Dan Hooker win by points. I posted shit on my community wall. This motherfucker goes and just knocks out Robert Whittaker. I said, you son of a bitch. And I had another variation of that parlay where Pantoja did win. I didn't have it by any specific means. I just had him winning. So in that specific parlay, every fight I called, every fight correct, except what just happened there. Dricus Du Plessis finishes Robert Whittaker by the cage. And yeah, the boy robbed me of some money, but fair play to him. He got the win. There's some animosity between him and the champion. And that's going to be a fight that people are going to tune into and watch. It couldn't have gone any better for the UFC. It's really, really sucks for Robert Whittaker to lose the way he did, especially as we know him as a champion as he was. It's tough, and we'll see if he's gonna bounce back from here, or we'll see. We're definitely going to see. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this little bit of just talking about what happened at UFC 290. We are gonna go and talk about Volkanovski as well. I kind of like in my Yair breakdown, that's kind of what I figured, and it ended up happening. So that, at least I was spot on with that. And Dan Hooker clutched it out too. So, hey, you can be wrong once and be right the other 7 times. But that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little showcase. I appreciate all of you. Marriage 17, I'm out of here.